about. Okay, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So I'm believing that hypertext stands for, I'm believing that you have a pure page. So I'm doing it for the semantic tags in HTML, or the semantic elements. I call them elements, or I can call them tags. This is going to be a continuous class. After HTML, we'll talk about CSS. After CSS, we'll talk about BOOTSTRAP. Then we'll talk about JavaScript, and then so on, until you achieve a full stack application. So I'm going to be creating a file here. So you can create a file by clicking on this small icon here. You can create a folder by clicking on this folder structure. So whenever you're working with HTML, there is always what called the folder structure, which means you arrange all your resources, all your assets. That is both your images, your videos, your audios, your files, your documents in different folders according to the type of document you are working on. However, in this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it simple, since we're just starting. It's a beginner, a little bit of advanced level anyway, because I believe you already have a kind of introduction to HTML. So that's why I'm not going to be doing that. So to create a folder, I can create a folder called CSS, for CSS. For styles, that's cascaded style sheet. Then I can actually go ahead and create a folder. By the time I double click here, it's going to give me to file I can create index.html. Now, so I have a HTML file that I can work with. In fact, this is already a website. If I just say this is my first web page and save, and then I can actually run this file in two ways. I can actually drag this file from here, go to my Chrome, and then drop it as a new tab. It's going to say this is my first web page. Okay, if you zoom in here, see this is my first web page. It's already a web page now. Okay, but then this is not the way we're using to. We're going to be using what we call live server. So we're using what we call live server to run this application. So live server helps us to actually run this application without actually having to refresh this particular page every time. Because anytime I need to come here and refresh it. For example, if I am to come over here and do let's say another thing and save. If I come back to this my website, you see, I'm not seeing that now. Wait until I come over here and then refresh this page, and I'll see another thing here. All right. So, but then if I wanted to hot reload or reload by itself, I have to actually come over here and run this thing we call the live server. Alternate L or alternate O to run with a live server. So the other servers I have here, I have the PHP server, I have the 5 server, and some other stuff. In fact, if you look down here, you're going to see these two. Like this go live. This is live server. Alright, so then I'm going to just right click and use that alternate O to say live server. So if I click on it, it's going to automatically open my live server on a particular port. So you see, this same application, the same thing is running on a server now. So if you look at this server, it's running at localhost, that's 127.0.0.1 5001 index HTML. That is where the server is running. Let's close this one for now. And then I have this live server running. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so I can be able to see what I'm doing. Alright, so that's what we're going to have. However, in this particular file, this is just a simple. I'm not actually let's close this off. Okay, I'm not actually. This is not actually HTML. This is just simple text that I'm running here. So to actually run HTML, I'm going to do shift exclamation mark. So shift 1, which will give me exclamation mark. This is called emmet abbreviation. Emmet abbreviation is simply used to help us in coding, so that you don't have to really memorize everything. Once you type, you can complete it. So I just say intro. I'll just say introduction to HTML. Right. So introduction to HTML. So here I can just say H1, and then I'll have H1. I'll just say this is my first web page. And then if I save, automatically you see all over here it's actually being routed. This is my first web page. Okay, and this is I do not save it. Alright, but then look at how I'm going to place them side by side. I'm going to place it side by side so that you can see. Alright, so to hide this panel so that you can have more room here, I'm going to click here. You can click there, or you can just drag it from here. I can just press Ctrl B on your keyboard, and then you can toggle that menu. So sometimes if I'm writing something, see I have this scroll bar that I'm writing something. But if I don't want that to happen, I can use WordWrap, which is Alt Z on your keyboard, and then you'll be able to do that. I can go to, I think it should be View, and say WordWrap. Look at it here, Alt Z, and then you should be able to hide that. Alright, so anything I do now will be reloaded. So once I type anything, let's say I type something, and if I save, once I save, automatically that comes over here, and so I need to reload. So the first thing I want to talk about is the folder structure, how a website is supposed to be arranged. So before I touch that, I want to talk about comments. What comments is all about. Comments is simply used for taking notes, okay, jotting down something during your development. Maybe there's something you want your developers to know, or there's something you want to be remembered for, or maybe you're working on something and you want to remember that later. So you can use comments to write about it and then keep it for later. So later on, when you come back to work on the file, you'll be able to remember exactly what you were doing then. So that is that thing. So to write comment is simple. You can open the square bracket and the angular bracket, then add some tags here. So anything I write between here becomes a comment. So this is a comment. This is a comment. So that's how I write comments. So, but then if you want to write it in a short form, you can press Ctrl/ and it gives you Ctrl/ on your keyboard. So it gives you this thing, you can write a comment. Alright, so that is how it works. So the folder structure of a simple web page is divided into in different. So I'm going to say the header. Say the header to be equal to. So the header has different headings. Okay, we have the H1, which is the biggest. So I'm going to say header 1. So if I save now, see that I actually have heading 1 here. Okay, so we have another one called heading 2. So I can call this heading 2. If I save, you see that the font size is actually smaller than that one. We have heading 3, and so on to heading 6. So I have heading 4. I have heading 5. I have heading 6. Right. So if I say, we see that I have all these stuff in their different headings. Okay, so this for the header. So remember, the header is different from the head. So the head is different. Is the head part of the website that has these meta tags, which I'll explain later. As we progress, I'm going to explain the head meta tags and what they're doing and what we can use them for. Alright, but then that is what the meta tag is used for. So also, of course, another thing that stays inside the header is what I'm going to be using the first semantic tag. So I will just write a comment here saying semantic tag. Normally, before now, HTML4 and so on, you can use list to do this, to do the navigation. Okay, so I'm going to use semantic tags to do the navigation of this website. Okay, navigation tab of this website. So I'm going to use nav. So in that nav, I'm going to use what we call the anchor tag. For now, it's not going anywhere. So I have home. I have just all those pages, like you want to move from one page to another page. So that's what I call navigation. I want to move from one page to another page, call it navigation. So I have about us, I have contact page, I have a download page. So I have a download page. And then finally, let's say I have the help page. Now if I save, you see that here I have this navigation now. So I can click on any of these pages and actually go to that particular page. Of course, I need to create these pages, create the about us page, and link it to this page so that I will be able to make use of it. That is what we are saying. Alright, that is what we are saying. So right now I don't have all these pages involved. Okay, so let me say I want to create the about us page and actually link it properly. There are two things we need to do. We need to create the page, this particular page, and then we need to properly add it here. So to do that, I'm going to do my Ctrl B, remember, to expand this thing, and I'm going to create a new page here, call it about.html. Now inside this about.html, I'll do Shift 1 to give me this abbreviation. Okay, to give me this abbreviation. So I'm going to say maybe about us page here. Okay, under here I can say, and then maybe just H1. Let's say welcome to about us page. Okay, and save. Now the last thing I need to do is actually to link this page to the home page, and to do that is quite simple. So this page will have about us page. Remember, we have about us page. This is about HTML. So I need to come over here and say about.html. Exactly the same name I wrote here. So the same name you are writing here should actually match whatever you have here. Alright. So we save that. So now if you come over to our page, if you click on about us, now it says welcome to the about us page. It says welcome to our about us page. So if I go back here, I'll still have my home page. Alright, so that is it's quite very simple. So in the about us page, I can actually do one or two things. Let me say I want to add inline styling here. So I know we have not talked about styling, but to add an inline styling, just something very simple. Let me say I want to add background color of blue, because blue is my favorite color, and I want the text to be white color. If I save, now go back to the about us page. See that the about us page actually has this particular view. In fact, I can even come over here and add the internal styling, because we have 3 types of styling, but I will cover it in the next video. Alright, so we can add stuffs here to make it actually look better, like something like padding. So I can actually add something called padding, which I'm still going to cover. Let me say padding of 10 pixels or something. So, and then I'll have something that looks like that. Okay, on the page. Okay, I have something that looks like that. Right. So that is how we can do all of these. This same styling we have here, we can even add to the home page. So in our home page too, in this place we have H1. I can actually add this same styling. I can actually paste it because I've already copied it, but then I'm not going to paste it. I'm going to type it, so you still feel if you didn't get it in the first one, you can get it now. I'm going to do background color. So this background color, I said I wanted blue, and then the normal color for the text, I want it to be white. And then so if you save that, go back to our home page. See that let me reload here. Yeah, so have that. I don't know why that didn't reload. So come over here. I have the padding. So padding, I'll just say 10 pixels and save, and then we'll have 10 pixels padding on this particular H1. So but if I click on the about us page, it will take me about it. So I want to have this link in the about us page, so that when I click on it, it will bring me back to the home page. So what I can do is simple. I can just come here and copy my semantic tags. There's no need of typing it again. Come to the about us page and then paste it here. Now pasting it here is not enough. I need to be able, this is not my home page, it's here now, but if I click on it, it's not going to work. So if I go over here, click on the home page, it's not going to work. You see, it's not going to work because I have not routed it to go to the home page. That is the index page. In fact, if you go over here and look at something, there is something that will come up on the bottom page here. If I hover here, you see that it's actually an hash, which means it's just going to refresh the page. So for me to change that, I'm going to remove this hash that is here and simply say index.html. So that it will take me to the HTML page. If I do that, now if I save and click on home, and now it will bring me to the home page. If I click on about us, it will take me to the about us page, and vice versa. So that's how we can have our link in HTML. We have that simple link in HTML that will write us the different parts of the page. Okay, so that is the first part of the website. Okay, so remember, all these ones we've done should be inside the header. So I'm going to cut Ctrl X, and then I'm going to create the header here. I'm going to paste it here. Alright, so I'm going to paste that there, and then that is how simple it is to work on that. Now, for the index page, we need to structure the other pages that needs to be here, and the other part of the website. So this is the header, the heading part of the website. So I'm going to hide the header here. I'm going to hide it here. Then come down here. You need the main section of the website. Apart from the main section of the website, we have one called the aside, which I'm going to show us. The link is in the this link. I've dropped it in the classroom, Google Classroom. So the link to the W3 Schools semantic tags that is showing some of these tags I'm typing here. So have the footer, and then that we also have section, and the semantic tags, they include a lot of them. We have of course, the header, we have the article, we have the section, we have the footer, we have the main, we have mark. There are a lot of them. If I can remember, we have aside. There are more of them. So if you go to W3 Schools, type or just go to Google, type semantic tags, you're going to see them. So they're the one I'm going to be using right now. So inside the main section here, inside the main section here, I'm going to create a section tag. Okay, inside this section tag, I'm going to have what called the paragraph tag P. So on the paragraph tag, I want to have a demo test. So what is a demo test? We use what we call for us to achieve this demo test, which is just a test that stand as a placeholder. It's just a test that stand as a placeholder till placeholder. That's a kind of a blueprint that will stand in place until we're able to put the actual test there. All right. So that is what we are talking about. All right. So that's what I mean. So to do that, we use a test. We use something called the loading test. So that's what I'm going to be using by default in VS Code. If I just type loading and press enter, it's going to give me a demo test. So if I save this now, you see I have a demo test in my application that I can actually use. So this is a demo test that I have here. So let me say I have more blog posts. Here. I have an article. In this article, let's say this time around I want 100 tests. So I'm going to say 100, loading 100, I'll press enter. It's going to give me 100 demo tests, and I have something like this. And that is how simple it is to create a loading test. Something very simple. Okay, something very, very, very simple. Alright, so I have my demo test here for the article and also for the this one, and it's very simple, so that by the time we are now ready to maybe deploy this website or something, we can actually have a way of doing that. So I want to go over to the aside, and then I want to talk about a few things. The aside is just like the diagram is also on the W3 Schools. I don't have the diagram here, but I'll just flash it off. So, or maybe I will still add it later. Now, so on the side, I want to talk about two things. I'm going to write a comment here. I want to talk about list. Okay, list of items. There are three major types of list. We have the ordered list, I'll have the ordered list. I'll have the descriptive list. Alright, so these are the three major types of lists that we have. The ordered list is denoted by OL, ordered, that's OL. Order list, O stands for order, L stands for the list. So OL, so what I do is I just say list, LI, and then I can list some things here. Let's say I want to list about fruits. I say orange here, LI of let's say purple, another one of apple, I don't know what that is. Mango, and if I save, I'll have this list in a particular order. So it's called ordered list because it's actually arranged in a particular order. Which is this. So there's something I want to do quickly so that you'll be able to see this properly. I want to add margin to the bottom. So if I come down here, I want to add a div. I need to give it a style. I'm not worried about this for now. Margin dash bottom. I'll just add maybe 300 pixels and save. Now what it's going to do is it's going to add space at the bottom so that I can scroll down like this so you'll be able to see what I'm doing properly. Alright, so this is another list. As you can see, it's actually in a particular order, in a descending order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so but what if I don't want to use 1, 2, 3 to do that? I want to say use the Roman figure. I can simply come over here and give type of you can use 1, 2, 3. You can use capital letter A or small letter A, or I capital letter, or that Roman figure I small letter. So let me say I want to use that Roman figure I, so that if I save, you see this automatically becomes the Roman figure numbers. So I can have Y, I, and so on. Since it's applicable, if I want A, maybe small letter A, and if I go to order, I can do this particular thing. Alright, so we have nested lists and some other things, but I'm not going into that for now. So I'm going to touch that in a minute. So the next type of list we have is the list called an unordered list. Right, unordered list, as you can guess, is connected with UL. So inside that UL we have LI. So the LI is simple. The LI, you can say, let's say we want to mention the names of students, you can say Favor, say Elvis, you can say we have Emmanuel, you can say we have Abel. Right. So if I save, you see this particular list is actually using bullet points, so it's not in an ordered form. Okay, it's just a bullet point, just using a sign to represent everything. And then again, if you don't want this sign, you can actually change to different signs. For example, I have a type here, type attribute. This is actually an attribute. This type is called an attribute. Alright, so I can have a type attribute, and then I want to use, let's say I want to use a circle, for example. If I save, now I have a circle. So I have a circle around this stuff. Okay, if I don't want a circle, I can also use even a square, anyone I want to use. Let's say I want to use a square, and now that's a square, small square box that I can use. In fact, as we go on in this tutorial, one of these things we're going to be using our own custom picture. You can even use your own custom icon or picture to put here, and to do that you need CSS. For example, there is one called katakana, but if I enter it now, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Okay, but then there is a way to actually add it and it will work. For example, if I want to use style, and say list style, and then put katakana, save. Yeah, so I have katakana now. If you look at it, you see it's actually a Chinese letter stuff. So it's now working. I have katakana here because I'm not using CSS, which is the styling here you are seeing. But if you write it ordinarily like this, you won't see anything. And then this CSS overrides this one. Let's see. Save. You see, the CSS actually overrides this particular one. So the square is no longer seeing it. It's actually seeing this other attribute of what? Style. Okay, I'm going to talk about this much later. Okay, and if I want to use my image here, I can say list style dash image, and I can use my own picture if I want to put this particular list here. So, but then we'll get to that in a minute. All right, maybe the next video, not this one. All right, so that's what we have here. So what I want to talk about is for the descriptive list. It's quite simple. I'm not going to cover that here. It's actually an assignment. If you go to the classroom, you see it's an assignment to give example of the descriptive list. So what I want to talk about now is actually the nested list. Nested list. That is, nested list simply means having a list inside another list. So whenever you have a list inside another list, we call it a nested list. Right? Call it a nested list. And that's what it is. That's what it is. Call it a nested list. So what I'll do is simple. I want to have two. I want to have two lists, but one will be inside the other. So to do that, I will use one of that list. Inside on that list, I'm going to say li. This li is going to give me, let's say, maybe names of students. List of students. So in this list of students, I'm going to have OL. Inside here, inside the OL, I'll have my normal LIs. So I can now have the names of students here. I can say I have Cynthia. I can say I have George. I can say I have Tina. Okay. So if I save, you see that inside here I have this another list of names of students, and then inside here I actually have the order of these. Now that is this particular li, that is the first parent of this one, the first child of this UL. So this UL has one child, which is this. So this particular one child, of students, which is this list. Actually, if I click here, I will just open up that. Has another list inside it, and this list is actually the one you're seeing that's inside it. So this is what we're nesting of use statement. Well, let me do one more example. Let me say, apart from that, we're talking about if the names of students. Let's say we want to talk about maybe scores of students, something like that. I don't know. Okay. Then here we can also have, I don't have descriptive list or any other thing, but since we haven't done that, so say li. So score. Let's say Cynthia scored 56, and then let's say George scored 67, and Tina scores 87, that kind of a thing, and save. Now if you come over here, you see that I now have list of names of students, and then they did this, okay, and then in their score they actually scored something like this. So that's how I can nest each statement. In fact, you can even nest each statement to the third power, which means inside this third one can actually have another list inside it. Like inside this particular one, I can actually decide to have another ordered list here, or unordered list, anyone, and still talk about something else here. Okay, for example, I can still talk about maybe I just say many, I don't know anything, say any, and then well, yes, I can just say anything, or maybe something. I don't know anything. So which means inside this third one now, I can also have more lists here. See how it's been nested. So this one is indented this way, so it's indented the other way, this one is indented this way. So something like I can actually have our list being nested in that particular order, and it will still work very well. Alright, so that is what we are talking about list, and this is quite very simple. As you can see, it's not that difficult. Alright, it's not that difficult. So I'm going to close this aside because we're done with it. I will just hide it. Just click here to minimize, and then under this aside, I'm going to do something. So I'm going to create a div, which is a division element, and inside that div, I'm going to create what's called a table. Now, table is simple. Table is simply the arrangement. So table table is an orderly arrangement of data in rows and columns. So orderly arrangement of data in rows and columns. So for table, as far as table is concerned, you just need to know a few things: the T row, the TR, the T head, and the TH. Okay. Of course, there are other table properties called the T head itself as a tag. That's as a tag. We'll have the T body as a tag again. We'll have the T foods as a tag. So I'm going to cover them very quickly, and then we'll fire down with some other things. Alright, so let's do that. So for table, we need the table row. Now remember, tables are made of rows and columns. So which means you have row, like this is a row, this is another row, this is another row, this is another row. So that means anything you want to do in a table must be inside a row. So first of all, create the row, then we'll put the data that we want to be inside it. Then you'll understand in a minute. Alright, so I have the table row. So the table head, which is going to be the titles of the table. Let me say I want to have let me call this one list of students. List of students. T head, I want to say rich number. And then let's say T head, I want to say the score. And then I want to say I have maybe remarks or something like that. Okay. So because this is the first row, which is going to contain the title of the table, I need to create the second row, which is going to contain the data that will be inside the table. So I'll say TD, which is table data. So the TD stands for, I'll write a comment here. So TD stands for table data. Alright. So list of students. Let's say the first student is Elvis. Okay. The second student is the region number of that student is, I'm going to use just MyU / CMP / let's say maybe 15 / some number. Okay, and then let's say the score is 89, sorry, and then the remark I want to do, we say the person passed, okay, whatever. So if I save, you're going to see this scattered order of the table. If I move this a little bit, see, so this is the list of students, the name, the range number, and this. So don't worry about it, we're going to arrange it in a minute. Okay, I'm going to arrange it in a minute. So I'm going to have another student very quickly. So let's say the other student is going to be of course the next row, the table data, the data that will be there. Let's say we have Cynthia, let's say Chioma. Then have TD of let's say we have that same range number / CMP for computer science, and let's say 15. Let's say this one and then some number. Alright, so we have to TD. Let's say the score. Let's say this one scored then 78, and then let's say so he passed. So alright, so if I save, you see I have another record here saying that, but now this record is not looking too good. So for me to arrange this table to make it look presentable, I add an attribute to the table tag. This is my table tag, opening table tag. So I add an attribute called border and set it equal to what? 3. Then when I save, see that my table will actually be looking better now. So you see my table is actually bordered. So it's arranged properly now. I have the list of students, and I have this, I have that, and I have that. Alright, so that's how we can actually arrange our stuff like that. Okay, now talking about the table head, that this particular tag, here we confuse them. So this, we put the heading inside here, we put the body inside here, and we put the foot inside there. So all we can do is simple. So I'm going to rearrange this table very briefly. Okay. So I'm going to take everything that is in the beginning, the heading of this table. Okay, move it up. everything that's in the heading of this table, we need to push it up. So I'm going to do Control X, or just to cut. Let's go over here and cut Control X, and then push that out. And then I'm going to say T head, table head. Inside it, I'm going to paste that thing I cut, which is the head. And if I save, nothing will happen. There's no difference. It's still the same thing. The only thing that this is a better way of writing a table. It's a better way of writing a table. Okay. So I'll cut this one too. I'll say T body. Inside T body, I'll press that. And then finally, for this last one, which is the footer, ouch. Okay, just for this last one, which is the footer, I'm going to say cut it out. I say T foot. I'll press it down. So if I save now, nothing happens. But then it's actually important to do this, because this tells you what the page should be. You know, for example, I'm going to, let me pull this off. I'll put it inside the body. And let's say this is actually a table that we need to do some kind of calculation on. So we can actually say something like, if I press this here, I can actually say something like, let's say, maybe let me call this total. Okay, let's say I want to get the total score, for example. So what I can do is that I need to even remove this. Let's say I just want to have two columns. One will have the total score, and the other one will have that. Okay. So what I can do, I can span this thing. I can say row span. Or I can say column span here. Column span. I want this one to span 2, and likewise I want this one to span 2. So I can say column span 2, 2. And if I save, you see what we'll have. So we can have the total here, and this will always be at the foot. Okay, this because of this footer now, okay, not footer, sorry, because of this T foot, it will always be at the end. Now watch what will happen. If I hold down alternate key, I'm actually move this code up, move it up, even to the point that it becomes the first guy in this table, and save. You see, it's still at the end here. Look at what I mean. Okay, stay here. Let me push it up to the outside of the table. Now you see that we actually have T foot here. Before T foot, we now have T head. Okay, so by convention, this is supposed to be the first thing in the table. This is supposed to be here, the first thing you are seeing before you see list of students. I get it. You're supposed to see this before the table. But if I save, you see that it's still at the end, because it's actually what, the foot of the table. So no matter where you place this particular thing, once it has these 2 fields, it will always be at the end of the table. Very, very important. Okay, so it's good when you want to do some kind of calculation or something. Like now I want to do calculation, I just say total. I can call it total score. Let me call it total score. Total score. Okay, so it becomes the total score, and I can get the total score of this. So of course this plus this should be something, I don't even know. So this should be 6. There's I think 19, something like that, 196. Okay, I'm sure, but not sure. So you can have this particular thing like this. Okay, I have that. This 166. I think it should be 166 or something. I don't really mind anyway. Okay, so you can have this as that. All right. So that's what we are saying. That is what we're saying. Very simple. So, but I'll take it back to where it is. Okay, take it back to where it is, pull it out, then go to the body. So the same thing happens to the head. So if even no matter where you place the T head, once it has this tag. Normally, if I didn't add this T head, T body, and T foot, once I rearrange the code somehow, it's going to scatter the table. But now it's actually quite arranged. So that's what we are talking about when we are dealing with tables. Okay, when we're dealing with tables. And it's as simple as that. Okay, it's as simple as that. So that is how we can work with table. That's how we can work with table. So feel free to go through it, and if you have any questions, you can ask us in the classroom, in the Google Classroom. All right, or you can ask us on the WhatsApp group. All right. The next thing I talked about in the classroom was the form. But I'm not going to cover it here now. So because I just did a very simple form, and so I'm still going to do that, and then we'll call it a day. So I have the HR, which is a line break. It just puts a line across the page. Okay, we'll have 2 of them. We'll have the normal BR and the HR. The 2 of them are just line breaks, but then HR puts a line across the page, while BR doesn't put a line across the page. It only has some kind of margin between the two elements. All right. So to create a form is simple. Just say form, and then for now let's forget about the action. I will explain that much later. So in the form, let's say we have a label. Let's say we have we need the username, and we need the input type of text, and then we have what we call placeholder, which I'll explain later. So enter username. Say enter. I think the one I say enter your username. Alright. If I save, so we have this form saying enter username. Then this form can actually have a caption. In fact, let me use H3 here and say caption. So I can even nest normal element as a caption. So in this caption, I'm going to say sign in form, and I save. Now I have a sign-in form here, and I have name, username, and this. Now look at what we're going to happen. I'm going to add BR here, line break, and then I'm going to come under here and say add label. So no, let me give small space so you understand what I mean. Let's push it up a little bit. So dealing with form, I'm just give it space, and that. Okay. So under here, I'm going to add a label. So label for, let's say, email. Now the reason why I put this line break, so I'll use email, type of email here. In a minute I'll explain. Enter your email. Alright, so I'm using line break. That's why this email, enter email, and this is in the next line. But if I remove this line break now and save, you see the email comes actually in the other line. They now stay in the same line. Okay, unless if, no matter how I even push it, they are still in the same line. But then that's what not what I want. So I want them to be in separate lines. So I'm going to put a line break. This particular BR here, and that's why they're in separate line. Okay. So finally, let me say I have another BR to separate it from the next one. So the next one I have label. So the label is going to be for password. So this is going to be a type of password. So I'm going to explain these types in the next in the previous next videos. So I'll say enter your password. Alright, and then finally I want to add a button. So I'll just say input type of button. For now it's not going to be a submit button. Okay, we can say submit button. Anyone can say input type of submit. So that is actually submit. Now I'm going to use the value instead of this. So I'm going to say sign in. Sign in. Okay, and save. Now we actually have a button, and if I click on this button, you see it's refreshing this page. It's refreshing the page. It's actually submitting this form. Alright, so that is how we can create a very simple form that can submit. So if I click on submit, it actually submit the form. Alright, so but then this is what we have. Okay, so in our next class I'm going to be explaining form. I'm going to continue from form. I'm going to explain these types. So for now, well, we've just explained the three types that we have. Okay, so types, let's say types of inputs. Okay, types of inputs. So we've talked about the text, we talked about the email, whoa, talked about the email, and then we talked about the password. But there are much more. I'll be adding at least about 15 more of them. For both number, for telephone number, for URL, web, images, videos, stuff like files, anything you want to add, even different types of buttons, both the reset button, the normal button, and then the submit button, which is the one we are actually using. Okay, we actually use submit button here. Alright, so we are going to be talking about all of that in our next class.